Honorable members of the committee, esteemed delegates, and fellow advocates. My name is Vakar Puri. I speak today as a person with psychosocial disability, and I'm representing Transforming Communities for Inclusion, TCI, the largest and global voice of persons with psychosocial disabilities. We welcome this day of general discussion on Article 29 of the CRPD and appreciate the opportunity provided by the Honorable CRPD Committee to bring forward the critical issues persons with psychosocial disabilities face in exercising our fundamental human right to political and public participation, and highlighting some urgent actions we need to take together as stakeholders for our inclusion in decision making processes. Even after so many years of the CRPD, we are still far behind in providing legal identities, fundamental human rights, ensuring independent living, and community inclusion of persons with psychosocial disabilities. Legal shackling remains a pressing concern for us as we continue to be institutionally confined within various incapacity laws, such as mental health laws, vagrancy laws, and guardianship laws. And we are labeled with various identities, such as mad people, people with mental illness, people who are mental patients, persons with psychosocial issues, people having an unsound mind, and etc. and etc. These identities takes away our legal capacity, and in our communities, we are continued to be seen as non-persons who cannot be part of the mainstream societies. Legal, social, and attitudinal barriers continue to deprive persons with psychosocial disabilities of our right to vote, run for offices, and engage in decision-making processes that shape our lives. Our members from various countries reported that constitutions and election laws explicitly exclude persons with psychosocial disabilities. Guardianship and mental health laws impose substituted decision making, disqualifying us from voting or standing in elections. Beyond legal barriers, attitudinal discrimination is rampant. We are bullied, dismissed, and treated as incapable of contributing to our societies. Political parties exclude us from electoral processes. Election Commission fail to provide reasonable accommodations. And in many cases, we are even required to prove our mental competence before being allowed to vote. This is an outrageous violation of our rights. Women with psychosocial disabilities, youth, and gender diverse persons face compounded exclusion. Women are denied opportunities to engage in political leadership, while young persons with psychosocial disabilities are largely left out of advocacy movements. Gender diverse persons fear of their safety when expressing to political opinions, and an intersectional approach to addressing these issues remains absent. Institutionalization remains the biggest issue to be addressed. We are forcefully confined in psychiatric hospitals, rehabilitation centers, and so-called social care institutions. Some governments have set up voting mechanism within the institutions, but this is not political participation. It is a reinforcement of our segregation from mainstream communities. The solution is clear: dismantle institutions, invest in community based support, and ensure persons with psychosocial disabilities can participate in elections as equal citizens. Access to information is another key barrier. Political debates, voter education campaigns, and digital platforms exclude our participation. And in this growing age of technology, it is unacceptable that persons with psychosocial disabilities are not even considered in discussions around technologies. Political participation is not just about voting, it is about leadership, it is about governance and decision making. Yet, we remain invisible in government positions, parliaments, national human rights institutions, and electoral commissions. We demand affirmative action policies to increase our participation in decision making processes at all levels. The upcoming general comment on Article 29 must address these urgent concerns with a clear and bold commitment to dismantling legal, institutional, and attitudinal barriers. It must affirm that institutionalization is a violation of our political rights. It must call for full recognition of our legal capacity and elimination of all forms of substituted decision making. It must emphasize the role of community-based support systems in enabling political participation. And it must demand accountability from states to implement these commitments with urgency. Beyond legal reforms, states must recognize the power of community inclusion. Community-based support systems are crucial to ensuring persons with psychosocial disabilities can participate in public life on an equal basis with others. Governments must invest in community support systems and networks that provide accessible information, peer support, and advocacy training for persons with psychosocial disabilities. Political participation cannot be an isolated event. It requires sustained collective action supported by inclusive community structures that foster leadership, mentorship, and engagement at all levels. National disability frameworks must integrate mechanisms for supported decision making rather than substituted decision making. We must move away from restrictive guardianship systems and instead promote inclusive approaches that allow persons with psychosocial disabilities to receive the necessary support systems while maintaining autonomy over their decisions. Community-based resources must be expanded to facilitate access to legal identity registrations, voter enrollment, and political education, ensuring no one is excluded from participating in elections and governance structures. Government must also allocate resources to awareness raising campaigns to dismantle the pervasive stigma surrounding persons with psychosocial disabilities. Local community actors, grassroots organizations, election bodies, and civil society should work together to educate communities on the rights of persons with psychosocial disabilities, regulating our presence in political spaces. Our voice matters, our votes matter, our leadership matters. The world cannot claim democracy while excluding millions of persons with psychosocial disabilities from political and public life. We call upon governments, election bodies, multilateral organizations, and all kinds of stakeholders to take decisive action. Thank you.